Here is my new prototype for a top-down shooter. As you can see, we have the basic mechanics, your field of view, and a third-person shooter controller. You only see what's in front of you in a certain angle. Everything gets blocked out. I plan on this being a co-op, so you'll be able to see your friend's line of sight. It'll be important for you to cover each other's angles. Right now, this is just the most basic mechanics, things like weapons, gunplay, multiplayer networking, UI, blood effects. All that stuff will be added. The yellow boxes represent enemies. I'm using the default Unity physics and the rigid body to control your character. So all movement and collisions are already in sync with the physics. As you can see here, I cannot go through any of the walls or the enemies. I might also add jumping, pushing each other's bodies and whatnot. Unity physics will ensure that everything works like actual physical objects, and I wouldn't have to worry too much. I also have the animations that will automatically match the direction you're moving to. This is just blending of the animations. I'm using the blend tree. So for example, I have forward run, back, left, right, and depending on your move direction, I'm putting more weight on the closest axis that you're moving to. The only exception is that if you're standing still, right now I don't have the animations for turning like this. In this case, I might have to switch between quick shuffles and normal movement. But again, the details will be added as I go. If you're lost, I have the minimap, so you can see where you are in terms of the overall level. You can see the walls on the map, but the enemies, you'll have to see them through your field of view. I'm overlapping the minimap sprite on top of the character position, so you don't have to look away. Instead of moving the player along the map position, I'm moving the map. I like it this way. There's many different ways for you to show player position from the bird's eye view. And this is just how I like it. If you want a tutorial on the top-down shooter FOV, there's this video. Line of Sight by CodeMonkey. I think it's pretty solid. I have all the links below so you can check them out. Just keep in mind that in order to use this concept in your own video game, you need existing knowledge and experience. Not only in programming, you also need knowledge in 3D models, shaders, and render pipelines. The basic concept of fog of war, or line of sight, or field of view is this. Let me switch to a different scene. All we have is this fan-shaped mesh, the green, that represents your view. The green also represents the raycast that I'm shooting on every single angle. Red represents the raycast where collision is detected. So you're shooting an entire set of outward raycasts from the player position to the aim direction. Wherever we detect collision, we set up a new position for the vertices so that the shape of the mesh, the shape of the fan changes according to whatever is in front of the player. And this is happening on every single frame. Once you have your FOV represented by the mesh, now you need to customize your render pipeline. Let me find the customizable render. Here it is. Let me just show you all of the settings. So we have mask, behind mask, dark. I mean, this might be really confusing, but all you're doing is deciding to render only the pixels that are in the same positions as the fan in your render pipeline. You're deciding things like which layer to render, when you want to do it, whether it's before or after the transparent. You can also pick which pixels you want to render by running a stencil test. Here's the option. A stencil test means you can test things like whether a certain pixel should be or should not be rendered because there's an object in front. On a normal circumstance, you don't want to render an object that's behind a wall, but you can customize this so that you can choose to render a silhouette, for example, of an object that's behind that wall. You can check out this video. You'll see another example of using the customizable render pipeline. But I'll say this again, you need existing knowledge in programming as well as engines and render pipelines. In a similar sense, I have this giant block, which I call dark. Hold on, let me go back to the gameplay scene. So here is the giant cube, which I call dark. It's just a giant dark cube that covers the entire view of your camera. So without the customizable render pipeline, this blocks your entire view. You won't be able to see anything. But this works exactly the opposite way from the fan. I only choose to render the dark that is outside the fan. And then I have the same materials for the walls. So you can see what's inside the fan, but whatever is outside your line of sight, everything is just dark. And this gives a unique look, which I really like. You can see something similar in this game called Ape Out. This is where I got some of the ideas. I really enjoyed playing this. Maybe you will too. I wish I could have everything open source for this project, but right now there's too many Unity assets which I do not own. I cannot distribute them. If you really want me to, I could later isolate individual parts like the FOV, for example, without the assets, and then make it open source. Another example might be a third-person shooter controller with the animations. That could be separated and open source as well, along with whatever other individual parts that I might have. Let me know if you want me to do that. And last but not least, if you're wondering what happened to my previous project, this team project, which I mentioned about 5 months ago, I decided to move on and work alone. This is a working sample, but I really didn't like the art. But if you want me to talk about this in more detail, let me know. And for this video, I'll just say that I didn't like the management. I was wasting time and I had to move on. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can reach me on my Discord server. All the links are below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.